How's everyone doing? Good?
We took the rain away.
Yeah, we took the rain. Thank you so much for joining us on the village stage this afternoon. I know the weather's not great, but the fact that you all are out here, thank you so much. And please enjoy the next hour with me, KJ.
And me, Sharil Hamdan.
On Keluar Sekejap at Ombak Festival, Desaru Coast. So we've got a great show this evening. We've got great guests. We've got some of the performers, some of the sponsors, and people who are involved in the Ombak Festival. But first of all, I'd like to know, how's everyone doing today? You enjoying the Ombak Festival?
Who are you looking forward to see apart from us?
Joe Flizzo. Hands up for Joe Flizzo. Hands up for Simply Red. Hands up for George Clinton. Yeah, nice.
Josh Stone, hands up for Josh Stone. Tomorrow, I think.
Josh Stone tomorrow, okay. Sharil, I just arrived from KL. Sharil arrived yesterday and he's had a chance to go around and basically get and soak in the vibe. So, Sharil, macam mana Ombak Festival, Desaru Coast ni?
It's great. I mean, diversity here is probably what is special about this, KJ. So, I spent a bit of time, obviously, at the stage. I watched a bit of the Masia One set and will be privileged to speak with her in a bit.
Yeah.
Also went to the main stage, and then there's a lot. I'm here with my family. My daughter is around, so we brought her to the kids area. This is I mean, Desaru Coast, I've been here many times, but this is my first time in Ombak Festival. Definitely will want to come back again, KJ.
100%. So I haven't been down to the festival grounds, but I was up there at the Hard Rock Hotel near my room, and I was looking out, and I could see the main stage, great vista with the ocean, with the South China Sea, the backdrop. Really fantastic idea. Big round of applause to Destination Resorts for bringing this. I mean, you know, you can't just build hotels, you have to really create the vibe. And this is the second year they're doing the Ombak Festival. We hope that it'll go from strength to strength. I mean, you know, it's going to start small. Last year was great. This year is even bigger. And hopefully next year and the years after, it will be a must come to and must be at festival in Southeast Asia. Okay, Cheryl, just to explain to, you know, I can see in the crowd, Malaysians, hands up if you're Malaysians. Okay, clearly, mostly Malaysians.
85-90%.
Maybe Malaysians. Mungkin ada masalah sesat somewhere. Anyway,
can I say KJ, yeah. We've been lucky and privileged to sell out certain halls in the past, but this is the first time we've got people who's willing to duduk with raincoat, with ponchos. I want to say thank you very much, everyone, for.
Thank you so much. And I know you're probably here to listen to the artists later, but we'll bring them on in about 10 minutes. But before that, you know, KS is Malaysia's #1 podcast. We're normally quite heavy, but today, because we're on festival grounds, we want to keep it a bit easy. But it would be off-brand if we didn't talk about what's happening in Desaru Coast, what's happening in Johor, what's happening with the JSSEZ, and why Destination Resorts is doing this. So this is my 6th or maybe 7th time in Desaru Coast.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I've been here that many times. Sometimes for work, sometimes for a holiday, sometimes for leisure. I normally stay at Anantara, I've stayed at Hard Rock. There's also the Westin. And there's also the, what is it called?
It's now called Syria.
So Syria. It's now called the Syria, which
it will change in a bit to something else that I don't allowed to say yet.
So I think like if you want to have fun with friends, maybe Hard Rock, a bit more family, Hard Rock Westin, a bit more bougie, Anantara, and if you want that, you know, sort of once in a lifetime honeymoon experience, it's that, what is it called? Syria,
which I get the signal that we're allowed to say would turn into Mandarin Oriental.
Yeah, it's going to be MO. The boss is like, yeah, let's give it a thumbs up. MO, Mandarin Oriental. So this is my 6th or 7th time here. I played on the golf course at the Ernie Els golf course. I've cycled, I've run. I haven't done the Ironman here because of scheduling, but I've done the route itself, the cycling route. I've done a cycling route around here. So basically, you can do a lot of things here. It's not just the water sports. It's not just the eventing like this Ombak Festival, but it's a year-round kind of venue, I think.
The Adventure Water Park, KJ, is one of the biggest features here. And my daughter's been there a couple of years ago. It's among the world's largest water parks, as I understand it. There's also the Desaru Coast ferry terminal with direct links to Singapore.
Okay.
And there's also a special feature about this place. And I didn't know until I read our notes, KJ. Desaru Coast has been recognized by Time magazine as one of the world's greatest places in 2021.
Yeah, absolutely. I see a friend of mine there, Dr. Shazril. You ran around Desaru Coast today, right? How was it, Doc? Good? Yeah. So, but you got to do the longer route tomorrow, yeah? I noticed it was short run today, tomorrow. I'm leaving tomorrow morning, bro. Yes, it's one of the top destinations. Not just Desaru Coast, but I think the greater Desaru area as well. There's a lot of stuff going on here. There's a fruit farm. It's not far from Singapore. It's right in it's part of the JSSEZ, isn't it?
It is part of the JSSEZ and part of flagship G of the JSSEZ.
I presume hospitality.
Correct.
Yeah, okay. So, guys, if you know of people who are event organizers, I mean, you have the Ombak Festival, you have Ironman here already, bringing a whole bunch of other stuff here. I think there are plans for sports tourism as well. Please spread the word, yeah? Notwithstanding the fact that the weather is a bit poor today, but please spread the word that Desaru Coast is not just open, but Desaru Coast is thriving, and we need more events brought here to make sure that this remains one of the prime tourist destinations of Southeast Asia.
Definitely agree. Ombak Festival being the major activation event, but I imagine over time, as more and more people get to know what a wonderful place this is, then more such activation events can become a feature of the calendar year.
Who's been to the water park? Raise your hand. How was it? Good? Anyone been to the fruit farm? Yeah, not so many.
One guy went to the fruit farm.
Not so many. Yeah, I've been to the fruit farm. You should go to the fruit farm.
I haven't.
Yeah, nice experience. You can do ATV there, pick some fruits, eat some fruits, eat a lot of fruits actually. Okay, Sharil, you are a music lover. Tell me about the acts that you've been waiting for.
So, like many people here today, I'm looking forward to watch Simply Red later tonight. Who's a big Simply Red fan? Who in the ones who cheered, which ones of you are born after 1980? Okay. Okay, so the ones who cheered revealed your age. Yes, that's what you did.
But you know what? I Googled this morning because I swear, I thought Mick Hucknall was close to 80. Because I'm 50 and I've known Mick. I mean, I've listened to him since I was a kid, right? So I'm thinking he can't be in his 60s because I'm almost 50, but he's 65. So either Google's wrong or he started really early.
He must have started really early then.
Yeah, but I'm looking forward to watching Simply Red because Mick Hucknall, because of music, and also he's a Manchester United fan. Come on, United fans, hands up. Hands up. This is our year. We just got rid of Andre Onana. We're going to win. Yep, 100%. Okay. What else do we have to cover?
Then we have a couple other, big acts that are playing. Obviously, Joe Flizzo after this at 7:30, I think. And then there's Joss Stone tomorrow. There's Kyoto Protocol, who's also a Malaysian big act. You know this, KJ, because you came to my wedding, but I can flex a bit. Kyoto Protocol played at my wedding. Okay. How many people can say Kyoto Protocol played at my wedding?
Yeah, it's the first time I saw them playing live. And I remember, Sharil, my memory is pretty good. They did a cover of Sweet Disposition. Correct.
They did. Yeah. And also a Zeppelin song, Ramble On.
Yes.
So anyway, enough about my wedding.
So I think it's time that we bring on our guests. Are they ready? Okay, cool. So, ladies and gentlemen, for our second segment, we're going to bring some fantastic artists, guests on the set of KS, ex Ombak Festival. Can I first introduce? I'm going to first introduce a pioneering American singer, songwriter, producer, band leader. He's a visionary force behind Parliament-Funkadelic P-Funk. which is inspired hip-hop, transformed funk music in the 1970s, rock and roll Hall of Famer, the one and only Mr. George Clinton. Wait, George? Yeah, there we go. George Clinton in the house. How are you, sir? Yeah. George, is it meant to be here? Yeah. There. Do next.
We've got George seated with us now. I want to introduce our second guest on stage. Someone who was born in Singapore, raised in Canada. Now an international force in hip-hop, reggae, and dancehall. She's built bridges between worlds, founding the Singapura Dub Club and giving Southeast Asia its own voice in global music. From Toronto to Kingston, from Singapore to right here on the shores of Desaru Coast, please put your hands together for the one and only Masia One.
Hey, Masia. Love the pants. Yep. And rounding up our panel this afternoon, local frontman of a band that we've been following for a long time. Started off playing KL's pub circuit, playing cover songs before breaking through with original music that brought them critical and commercial success. But most importantly, known for having played at Sharil Hamdan's wedding, Fuad from Kyoto Protocol. Yeah, man. See you.
Great to have all of you here. Can I begin with George? George, you would have played in many countries and places in your time. Tell us something about anything unique you've experienced in your couple of days here in Malaysia and Desaru. How is this different for you so far?
Oh, well, I went out on a four-wheeler trail ride today. I haven't done that before on the road, but I'm enjoying myself. I mean, this is brand new to me. I've only been doing it like 50 years, but I'm loving it. The trip here from Tokyo and Osaka, all of it was interesting. Then riding the car and all the traffic here was beautiful. So I'm having a good time. I don't want to go home.
That's great.
George, I love that voice, man. How do I train my voice to be like that, to talk like that?
What's that?
Your voice, how do I train my voice to be like that?
Oh, the voice? Oh, that's my nervous voice.
Got nothing to be nervous about, George.
Masia, you're born in Singapore, but you're now in Canada. Is that right? You're raised in Canada. Tell us a bit about your story, because Desaru is a stone's throw away from Singapore, and I was told that you've written some of your songs on some of our islands here on Tioman, which is also not far from here. So tell us, is it like sort of coming back home, so to speak?
With being here is like 360 for me. I discovered hip hop at Bedok Market in Singapore with a cassette tape of a group called Public Enemy. And I should mention that one of the songs, Bring the Noise, samples George Clinton's music. Is it Atomic Dog? Is it Atomic Dog that
Atomic
sampled?
Dog.
Yeah, Atomic Dog.
They sampled quite a few. Flavor
Yes.
Flav and Chuck was like real close with the group, so that was I did a lot of guest appearance on their records.
Yeah, so I should mention any hip hop fan should be understanding where the root of the funk came from. It's incredible. But for me, then I moved to Canada. I got, I looked for anything that was hip hop. All my cousins were listening to Chinese pop music, Japanese pop music, and here I was, don't believe the hype, and so it was really a blessing. And when I finally got to visit back in Southeast Asia as a teenager, I discovered Tioman Island. I stayed out in Tioman, eat banana pancake, write some music. It was really, Malaysia is always in my heart. It's even in my name. Malaysia boleh. Truly Asia.
And your album is called Pulau, right? Your second album.
Yeah, my second album is called Pulau. I wrote it in Tioman Island. But so many of my songs. I just released a video called Wait in Vain. It's dedicated to Langkawi Island. I have so many songs that are inspired by the beauty of Malaysia.
Okay. Fuad, you know, what is, I mean, look, you're big in Malaysia, but not just that. You've opened for crazy acts like, you know, Muse and many others. So you're used to the big stage. But this is kind of different. This is not a concert per se. It's a festival. It's something relatively new in Malaysia. We've had it before. On and off sometimes successful, sometimes controversial, but hopefully there's nothing's going to happen tonight. But do you think the festival scene is here to stay in Malaysia? I mean, how does it feel playing in a festival where it's multiple genres? It's, you know, there's funk, there's hip hop, there's there's a flizzo. You know, how do you keep it tight with the audience?
I think variety is the spice of life, isn't it? And if you were to go to just to one festival where it's very focused on one genre, Melayu kata muak, kan? You can cepat muak. You get sick of it pretty fast. So I think festivals and the diversity that they've had, especially the ones that we have here, and especially I think Ombak really brings that diversity to another level. For example, my family is here. I don't know if they're out there. Yeah, there you go. The ones who are loud. And now you know where I get it from, right?
We work with Farah as well.
Oh, there you go. And they're bringing their kids and all that. So it's bringing that diversity to another level and inclusivity. And I really, really like that. Being next to the beach, being closer to nature than I think a lot more of the urban style festivals that we've done. I think it's super, super refreshing. And I'll give an example of when festivals go away and the kind of hole that it creates. Remember Urbanscapes? How we all used to love Urbanscapes, and it was a thing that everybody looked forward to. It was, I think, the focal point for local music scene, Urbanscapes. And then Urbanscapes decided to change its format. It was still a festival, but it became a bit more like Georgetown Festival, where it was satellite events throughout a month rather than a central point of focus and gathering of people. And it was very obvious that we miss the old Urbanscapes. And that's why I think Malaysia definitely is a festival culture country, for sure.
George, just moving away from the festival chat, but a bit more to the music itself. You are the elder statesman on this stage, and in your genre itself. Malaysia, I think, alluded to it just now. Many younger hip hop and funk artists sample your work. I was wondering, as you look back now in your career, how does that make you feel when you see younger generations reinventing your work? Is that part of a legacy that you're proud of?
You said the right word. It helped me reinvent myself when I heard the samples, the De La Soul, the Public Enemies, and all of that. Excuse me. When I heard that happening, I knew that I had a way of staying around, reinventing myself, not having to leave because I was older. They're like my kids. I made my business to get close to them. I put out an album called Sample Some of Disc and Some of That to make it easier for them to sample without, having to fight with the record companies. I put out the record intentionally for them to use to make samples. That helped me reinvent myself when it was time for me to get out of here. And the best way to do that is to do it with the kids, the music that would usually get on your nerve. I made sure I didn't let it get on my nerve. I made sure that I paid attention to what they were doing. And, I didn't copy. I just made myself available to be a feature on their records or get them the samples. That way it helped me stay around through the Kendrick Lamars. Pretty much everybody's record come out to get bigger. I'm part of it. I try to make myself on that session.
But how does that make you feel, George, when people are sampling, when people are taking inspiration? I mean, does part of you say, hey, you know, get your original stuff, or is it a tribute?
I'm glad. I'm seeing it as a positive way that I can stay around. I could look at it like, no, they copying our music, they young are taking out. No, I made sure that I help them take it, because it's a kids thing. Kids are the one that keep it alive. So if you help them, you become part of the new generation. I didn't let it bug me. I love the fact that otherwise you had to listen at it, those K-Tel packages on TV, a whole bunch of oldies. You don't get nothing from that. So I made sure that I helped any hip hop that came along that was into the funk. I tried to be a part of it.
George, you know, I have to ask this question because the evolution of hip hop in America, it overlays a lot of political and social themes. Is that part of your origin story as well?
Well, I mean, we did that in the 60s, you know, the 60s revolution. We had an album called America Eats Us Young. We were always into social, political, dancing, booty shaking. We did it all. So whatever we see happening, we try to make sure we talk on that subject. I grew up in Motown. Smokey Robinson is like my favorite. But as Beatles came along, Jimi Hendrix came along, you notice we have Funkadelic, which is a psychedelic group. We have Parliament, which is basically a loud Motown band. You know, and that was how we try to be a part of every generation. And when hip hop came along, it just reminded me of old blues songs where the guy talked a lot on the records. And I can pretty much put my finger on where they're coming from. So hip hop was just another version of it. I mean, they changed hip hop. It went from East Coast to West Coast to South. And then, like I said, from Motown, and if you was at Motown, they had 1,000 great artists. Every one of them was great. So I was pretty much aware of all the styles. And then when the Beatles and the European invasion came along, that was blues from my mother's era. I knew
this is a masterclass. This is a masterclass, man.
Yeah, I knew that from the 40s and 50s. I'm 84 years old now, so I was doing this since I was in the 6th grade.
You know, George, we have something in common. You have a group ensemble called the Parliament. I was in Parliament as well, but I was kicked out.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, long story. Yeah, Cheryl.
Guys, if you don't mind, one more question, because we're sitting next to a legend. I just want to ask George just one more quick question. I read once that you wanted Funkadelic to be seen as the Black Led Zeppelin. I wonder if you can say a bit about whether one of the legacies that you're proud of is merging different genres.
Well, I mean, we were already around when Led Zeppelin came out, but when I realized what they were doing, we were already like a psychedelic band, but they were pretty funky. We wanted to be accepted like they were being accepted, you know, even though we just thought of ourselves as a loud Motown. And the first punk band that showed up, we were doing punk rock before there was such a thing. So when Led Zeppelin, Beatles, anybody that come along and make a dent in the industry, I try to identify with it. Try to see where they're coming from, where the roots are at, and we go from there. And like I said, I've been around all the writers. I'm worked on Broadway at the Brill Building where all the songwriters from the 50s and 60s and 70s, Carole King and all of those. So I know pretty much all the different genres of music, and I just have to go back to my little portfolio and say, oh, this is what they're doing now. This is the new thing. And tell the band, this is what we're going to do. And pretty much everybody in the band grew up in the band. We got kids, my grandkids, my great-grandkids are in the band. So we lived this for the last 50 years.
It's great. It's great, George. Thank you. Major, just moving on to you. Tough one to follow, but you will have to try, Major. So, I mean, we've heard George speak about the different genres. Maybe speak a bit about the genres that you're in, right? There's a perception that hip-hop, reggae are foreign genres, but I imagine part of what you're trying to do is to indigenize some of these genres. Tell us about that journey so far.
I think, to bring it to sort of local context, how does Singaporean kid end up with blending reggae, hip hop, and conscious lyricism and all that kind of stuff? Where did you get this from? I mean, this is not Singaporean, right?
Well, I mean, I think I'm very blessed to have traveled around the world, and just traveling alone affects you. And also, I had an older brother that introduced me to George Clinton's music, Peter Tosh, Toots and the Maytals. I had my childhood was very rich with all the greats. So I think that, when I first started, people used to tell me, Major, you choose hip hop or reggae. It cannot be both. It's one or the other. But look at the era we live in now, where it's playlists and we are inspired by so many different things. How could we just categorize things as one or another? So for me and the band in Malaysia that I work with, Jaja Army, the focus is unity, right? Showing that we are multicultural, multi-genre, multi-gender. I have the baddest bass player that's a female bass player, So I think that more and more you'll see that the diversity is what showcases the best of Southeast Asia. And Southeast Asia is even getting smaller. I'm listening to Thailand disco music. I'm listening to Vietnamese rap. So yeah, I think that the diversity is going to grow in this region. And look at this festival too, Ombak.
I think another big shout out for Ombak Festival, because if you look at the genre, it's not musical genre as well. I think you've got big acts from Thailand, from Indonesia. So I think, this is great, showing the diversity of Asia. But, still staying on you, Major, what are the themes that you explore apart from diversity? Do you have strong sort of social themes that you search through your music?
Sure. I think identity is always a part of exploring in music. As a third, fourth, fifth culture kid, returning to my root, coming to a place and people speaking Chinese to me and be like, 我不会讲华语, and then someone speaking Malay to me like, belajar, Malay, oh, sorry. So I'm Matsalaya. I'm very limited, but as I stayed here longer, as I fell in love with the culture, the people, the food, somehow I eat the food and suddenly I understand the Malay, I understand Chinese, I start to integrate into it. So it's, I think identity is a big part and unity is a huge part. I'm looking at the world today and how many divisions, even on social media, on what we are shown. And I think more and more, the more that we travel, or we realize that we're very similar. So that is something that I wanted to share.
Great message. Fuad, I think similar question in terms of how you try and make your music local and indigenous in a way, maybe the themes and the topics that you talk about. And secondly, maybe to tag on to that original question, as you and we age into our 40s, right? How do you change the music that you write? Because I know you and you're not going to be the one who sits still and repeats, the same old kind of style. How do you make things fresh, keep things fresh?
Actually, I don't really put a lot of thought into what I'm making. And what I mean by that is I sound the least cerebral out of everyone here. But it is really an expression of what I go through in my life. I grew up listening to two very distinct spheres of music. One influenced by my mother, who was into the Led Zeppelins, Bread. We had all those car trips driving down from Singapore, because I was born in Singapore in 1984, and we had to come back here to meet the rest of the family for the holidays, and we'd have all the rock and roll records from Mom, but Dad was the guy who was into Teddy Pendergrass, Quincy Jones, all these guys. In fact, so that kind of goes some way to explain a song like Jelita, which is essentially me expressing the fact that according to my parents, when I was 2 years old, I was really into Get Down on It by Kool and the Gang.
Two.
Two. That's it. That's it.
So, I mean, I don't put that much thought into it. Whatever feels right, whatever reverberates with the cells in my body, that's what I try to do. I think earlier on, I was a bit more of an angry young person, but as I became older, I've sort of mellowed out in a sense, but also maybe less about anger, but maybe with a lot of angry love songs, let's put it that way. And nowadays, after I'm married and settled, a lot of happy love songs. So yeah, hope to spread that to everybody here.
How do you, Fuad, how do you choose language for your songs? What's in English and what's in Bahasa Melayu? And is it different? I mean, do you have your marketing hat on? So the Bahasa Melayu ones are a bit more jiwang and the English ones are a bit more angry. I mean, how does that work?
Very, very good question. The reality is, I grew up in a household where both my parents speak English at home. So I think in English. So even Jelita was originally beautiful, and it was translated into Malay because we were on Versus and we needed a new Malay song to play on the show. So I must confess that I'm not very good at writing in Malay. I could try, but it would come out like, dua tiga kucing berlari, that kind of level.
That's Joe Flizzo's lyrics.
Oh, man. So we're on the same level.
Literally.
Don't tell him I said that, okay? But yeah, I mean, to be very upfront, I think in English, I write in English, and if it's required, then I will get somebody to help me to change it into Malay.
Okay, just for this round, last one for Fuad. I don't know if you guys know, but music is not his day job. He's got a day. What is he? A hedge fund?
Crypto.
It's a crypto
bro. It's a crypto bro.
He used to be a fund manager, but now I think he's a crypto bro. So George, yeah, he's crypto guy. So let's talk to him after this about what to invest in. I can't really say that right now because the second finance minister looking at me and saying crypto is not legal here. Anyway, why did you continue with your day job and your moonlighting as a rock star? Why not just be a rock star full stop?
Again, I'm going to sound super one-dimensional, but I'm a very good kid. I listen to what my parents tell me.
Thank you.
I think this is the third time I've mentioned my mom, right? And she always said, look, we all as a family, we love music. My dad can nail Just Once by James Ingram, by the way. I wish you could hear it. And my mom, obviously, she's a big lover of music. And when they saw that I was really getting into it, started to write my own songs, starting to create my own original music as well, they were starting to caution me, look, if it doesn't work out, we want you to have a solid backup plan. So we want you to go get a degree and maybe just start a career and know what you want or what you like to do for work, where you don't feel like you dread going to work every day. And I happen to fall into the mold that both my parents are into, which is the finance world. And I don't know if it's okay to mention, actually, my father and you overlapped for a short period of time at an investment bank, maybe in 2003, 2004.
ECM?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yep. There we go. Okay. Excellent. George, I'm going to come back to you because one of the things that you are known for is your performance. Theatrical, communal experience. What are we going to expect from you?
I never know myself. I don't even know the lineup of the songs we sing. I call them out once I get on stage and I see the audience, and it's going to be interesting because I don't recognize the kind of faces I'm used to looking at, but I'll figure out what it feels like they want to hear. I have to read the audience, and since we've been around so many years, we have a catalog that's huge, and the band love just pulling something that we've never played in the last 20 years and see if they remember it. And a lot of time we jam, almost like the Grateful Dead. You just started and jam. But even though we had records that was hits, it's gonna be wild. You can count on that. We always make sure that it's wild and fun. And it'll be really wild here. We played here, I don't remember how long ago.
Your band members are used to this, not having a set list kind of thing?
No set list. I have to make the set list up as I go along. That's part of the fun. We never know what's going to happen, you know, and it's never the same show. If you see us 10 times, it can never be the same, because who played guitar on this time might not play the next one. It might be, been doing that so long. It's kind of like a play. Everybody know everybody's part. And it keeps it from being boring after all these years. You actually kind of like, because you don't even know what's going to happen.
I think it's a marker of legendary status, KJ, that you can show up, rock up, and not have a set list, and that's George Clinton for you.
Oh, I heard the band, they rehearsed yesterday for sound check. It actually was one of the rare moments we actually get a time to actually rehearse, because we're always moving all the time and don't. 30 members in the band, so it's hard to actually put all it together. To hear them rehearsing something, preparing for the show, sounded really refreshing yesterday.
Last question for me, George. You mentioned about this being slightly new to you. You spent so many years touring the world. In your experience, do you feel that music, and particularly funk, your genre, does that translate well across different cultures and geographies?
I think funk translates very well, because it's every country, every place we go, pretty much know the lyrics, even if they don't speak the English, they speak the language. Pretty much everybody knows the lyrics, and we're surprised at that. And music is a world thing, period. We're just late catching up to it. The music itself works everywhere when it's a good time, and everybody's got a booty. Everybody want to shake it.
Okay, last ones for Masia and Fuad. As the standard bearer of the future of music, we have the master, George. We listen a masterclass from him just now. A big round of applause for Mr. George Clinton. But for you guys, and I wanna locate this question in Southeast Asia, right? Southeast Asia is the home to multiple genres. We're not defined by anything. There's no strong one genre that stands out in any of the Southeast Asian countries, for that matter. Where do you guys want to take the music scene in Southeast Asia over the next 10 years? Well, just Keluar Sekejap, man. It's got to be tough.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so for me, maybe I would just want, if I would ever have a lasting legacy, and I hope I get to cast one on the South regional music scene, it is one of honesty and friendship and cooperation. So it's very simple. I just want people to be their real selves and be unashamed to be their real selves and put that out there. Be completely honest and organic with their experiences. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Masia?
For me, especially here in Malaysia, I've met some of the most incredible musicians and artists. Often I've found that they had the skills and the chops, but they didn't have the confidence to believe that they are international and global level artists. And I feel it's very important to have, for example, festivals like this where Southeast Asian artists can share the lineup with a legend and different legends in the music to grow that confidence, to understand that this music is global, to understand that we can jam and just have fun with the music and enjoy it, for the audience to learn that their local incredible talents are really up there and out there. So I think it's very important for me to share the skills and the talent and the levels that's here in Southeast Asia.
Ladies and gentlemen, before I let them go, we're going to play a game. And you guys have to answer rapid fire. There's no right answer. There's no shade on anyone. It's just your preference. It's just your preference. I'm going to go one question to each. No, a few questions to each, maybe 3 or 4 rounds, but rapid fire. I'm going to start with George. Beatles or Rolling Stone?
Beatles.
Beatles. Okay. Masia. Beyonce or Rihanna?
Rihanna. Riri.
Fuad. Elvis or Chuck Berry?
Chuck Berry.
Chuck Berry. George. Madonna or Whitney Houston?
Whitney.
Okay. Fuad. You have to answer this. Taylor Swift or Billie Eilish?
Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift. Masia, David Bowie or Freddie Mercury? Both? No, you gotta choose.
Okay, David Bowie.
Fuad, last one for you. Metallica or Iron Maiden?
Metallica.
George, last one for you. Stevie or Marvin? Stevie Wonder or Marvin Gaye?
Stevie.
Isn't he lovely? Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for George Clinton, Fuad, and Masia. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, we've got one last short segment to show love for some of our sponsors and for some of the people who've made this festival happen. Please stay on for another 15 minutes or so, and then after that, we'll all rush to the main stage for Joe Flizzo. So I think, who we got, Cheryl?
We've got a couple people representing exactly what you said, KJ. Not just sponsors, but people who are here, present in Ombak Festival. The first is Kiddocare. Can I introduce our friend, Muhammad Ar-Rahman Hussein, Head of Business Development and Stakeholder Management. Good to see you. Kiddocare is Malaysia's first on-demand babysitting platform created by parents for parents. Platform connects families, trained and vetted Malaysian babysitters offering safe and reliable childcare services, which is something that's important when parents bring their kids to festivals.
At festivals.
Thank
you, Kiddocare. Who else have we got?
We've also got our friends from Pasar Seloka. Can I invite Fatin, Dini, Sabrina, Muhammad Fadil?
Have you guys been to Pasar Seloka? It's here, right?
Yeah, just here.
So it's right
really
here. Yeah, so please go to Pasar Seloka and spend a lot of money.
So Fatin's a co-founder of Pasar Seloka, founded in 2012. Together with two partners, Zorina and Haliza. Over the years, they've merged and partnered with even more like-minded people, growing into a collective that thrives on collaboration. They do design, branding, marketing, and programming, making Pasar Seloka more dynamic, innovative, future-ready. Basically, a lifestyle pop-up platform that champions a vibrant community of small businesses, independent creatives, and cultural tastemakers.
Okay, I'm going to start with Fatin. Fatin, you've been doing Pasar Seloka. I think you were here last year. Were you here last year? You were here for other events as well, for the IM?
Yeah.
You were here for the Iron Man as well. Tell us a little bit about this pop-up culture, because it's accessible. It's easy for vendors because they don't have to rent months on end shops and things like that. Is this something that is more in line with the young generation? They're quite comfortable with pop-up stores. But you know, when it's not popped up, where do they get it from?
Sorry again?
When the pop-ups are not there, sometimes it's not available online. So that's the downside to pop-ups as well.
Most of our vendors, they are available online. So we
Get closer.
So yeah, most of our vendors, they are available online. So you can get to purchase from their item from their website. But we bring them physical for the community to get access to their products.
And what's the vibe of Ombak Festival this year? You happy with the turnout? You happy with the vibe?
Yeah, the turnout is quite okay. It was okay. It's okay. Most of our vendors are happy, and I think it's an opportunity for us to work together with Desaru Coast and Ombak Festival.
Cool.
Rahman, maybe tell us a bit about what Kiddocare is. I think I described a bit about the company in the intro just now, but say in your own words, why is this platform, or why is this company, why is this business something that you think is successful, and also share how we can check out what you're doing here in Ombak Festival.
Well, thank you, Cheryl. It's good to be speaking to Chief and Cheryl again. See, the thing is, Kiddocare is an on-demand childcare platform. So we provide babysitters, trained, vetted, through on-demand hourly basis. And I think Kiddocare exists primarily to achieve two things. Number one is to professionalize the standard of care. I think not enough is being spoken about care workers, especially childcare or elderly care, about the need to standardize the training, the need to standardize, and of course, to pay the carers fair wages. And most of the participant in the care economy are women. And it's very important to Kiddocare and our founder, Nadira, to actually uplift women. So that's number one. Second thing is over here with Ombak Festival, we believe every music festivals and every festivals should be family inclusive. To allow for parents to actually have fun without feeling guilty about leaving their kids behind. Over here we have pajama parties at Desaru Convention Center, and at the festival village itself we have a pop-up where we actually do some activities.
Yeah. Hey Rahman, just a couple of important questions. For parents out there, for myself, Sharil, well, my kids is a bit older now, but one of the big nightmare scenarios we have in leaving our kids in care is exactly what you said, not having properly vetted carers. So how do you vet your carers so that parents have peace of mind when they leave their kids with a carer from Kiddocare? That's the first question. Second question I'll ask after this.
See, Kiddocare is in a business of trust. So the way we build trust, especially for parents, number one is every applicant who wants to become a carer is first sent to PDRM for background check. We go through them whether they have criminal records. The second step is for them to actually undergo a psychometric assessment. Only after passing those two, then we allow them to enter training. And then on top of that, for every sessions with Kiddocare, we actually have hourly basis monitoring. So we have in-app messages, and it's actually part of our SOP that the carer will update every hour. Like they'll take pictures, they'll tell the parents like, look, your kid have eaten, we've followed the things that you require of us for your children.
Okay, the other question, childcare, very important part of social protection, especially for people who can't afford it. Rama, I don't know if you know, but the second Minister of Finance is somewhere out there. Budget's about to come up. There is childcare allowance, tax allowance exemption right now from the industry. It's not too late to sneak something in. He's smiling over there. You have basically a chance to pitch right now to Dr. Sri Amir Hamzah. Go for it.
Thank you very much. I think the government should recognize that there are multiple forms of care services. So either from an on-demand platform base, physical base, the government should start looking to a certain extent a holistic approach on how do you subsidize care. Not just childcare, but of course elderly care as well. The current setup is it only allows for parent center. So you have to register your kid with centers, and then only you can claim the tax credit.
So if you use gig like yours, cannot?
So if it's an online... So, Ya Muhammad Menteri, I would like to propose at this point in time to also allow on-demand platforms providing care to also enjoy the tax benefit, or at least the tax credit. Thank you, Kwabi.
Well done. And I see him nodding. Although politicians or government people nodding doesn't guarantee you get it, but they nodded.
But at least KPI achieve.
KPI achieve, you can. Fatin, over to you. You're in a unique position because you have a platform, so many vendors, right? Over the years, what have you seen? What can you say about how the SME industry or sector has evolved, hopefully for the better, based on what you see?
What?
I mean, have some of these sort of entrepreneurs, micro entrepreneurs, become more international? They're thinking, or are they more tech savvy? Anything that you can say about how they've evolved for the better over the years?
As mentioned, Pasar Seloka has started since 2012, right? So for our previous vendors who participated with us, they are now have grown more.
They've grown in size.
Our previous vendors like Kalakisha, so they started with us back in 10 years ago.
But as you get more and more vendors on your platform, barang yang dijual, the product, have you seen that?
They evolve based on current, and with the things macam sekarang dia ikut lah peredaran trend.
Peredaran zaman lah. Dia jual barang yang lain, produk yang lain. What is your, the most famous ataupun the, produk yang you rasa paling unik lah that's been on Pasar Seloka over the years?
Because sebab kita ada macam-macam sort of vendors kan. Dia macam mostly baju akan ikut the fashion lah.
Okay.
Kasut pun ikut fashion. Makanan standard lah. Pun viral akan ikut je semua yang viral.
Viral yang manis, lepas tu banyak cheese.
Macam tu lah.
Let me come back to Rahman for a bit. Rahman, you've been in Kiddocare now for a while, I think for a few years. Similar question to Fatin just now, like in terms of the evolution, I guess, of the business and of platforms like yours. Not just about Kiddocare, but maybe other competitors or people in the same space. What's your hope for what happens in the next 5-10 years in terms of the size of the business, in terms of the ambition of the founders, anything you want to share so that we feel that it's not just a platform that does one product in one market, but something that can be a bit more of a regional champion?
I think first and foremost, we've got to understand that we operate in a space that is, or in a section of the economy that is often overlooked by policymakers. So care economy isn't sexy. It's very, there are a lot of questions of what's the tangible outcome of putting a bit more money in uplifting the care industry or uplifting the care economy. So as a platform and of course as a business, we aim to evolve beyond just providing childcare. So we're looking at to be an integrated app that solves, or to a certain extent, that responds to every needs of a family. So there are multiple needs of a family. So it's not just childcare. If you were to look at the childcare journey, so macam daripada umur 0 to 3 you have different needs, 4 to 6 you have different needs, and then all the way towards when you're 12, there are different needs of a family. So Kiddocare aims to be the platform that solves or at least provides solutions to all those needs. Itu satu. Yang kedua adalah, I think the industry needs more assistance from the government in the sense that in terms of recognizing the carer itself, recognizing that unpaid care work is actually draining the country's GDP, recognizing the people who are already in the care space. And then of course, with rising inflation and rising costs, childcare costs are also increasing. I think that has to be taken into, and we have to make sure that childcare is not something accessible only to the M40s, the T20s. Like also quality and affordable childcare should be accessible to all.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, big round of applause for Rahman and Fatin. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you for supporting Ombak Festival, Kiddocare, as well as Pasar Seloka. Let's spend 5 minutes to talk about next year. Next year is Visit Malaysia year, 2026. We're hoping for a big bang because tourism is one of the biggest foreign currency earners for Malaysia. Recently, there was talk about reviving the Formula One race, whether or not it was feasible or not. There were a lot of comments. I don't know if you saw. I spoke about it on KS. You went around, but Zaidel and I spoke about it. Very split, 50-50s. People saying that it's worth the price tag of about, 500 million ringgit, the sanction fee plus the organization fee, because the spillovers, the multipliers, going to be so much. I pointed out that it was cancelled during my time. I was the Minister of Sports that decided not to extend it. And I said that, one, the novelty has run out. Secondly, we don't get the multiplier that Singapore does, for instance, because Singapore is a night race, it's in the middle of town, and ours is a hot, day race out in Sepang. And then there were comments saying that, we have to be more strategic, bring a lot of events during the F1 so that you get more of a multiplier. Looking ahead at next year, and even looking at Singapore's F1, they got Smashing Pumpkins coming, So this is the kind of stuff that we are up against. And once again, I want to take my hat off to DRH and Ombak Festival because we're competing in a tough spot.
Yesterday, I think there was the figures and the cabinet minister here would know better. But apparently, Malaysia's tourism industry posted a strong growth last year, reaching almost 300 billion ringgit in revenue. So we always see these big headline figures, KJ. But what I would like to see going into tourism year next year is what made up that number. Is it ecotourism? Is it, cultural? Is it urban tourism? Getting to one level down would help us identify what are the key drivers of this tourism figures, and then that helps us become a bit more strategic on where we spend.
I think, and once you identify the drivers, you can also identify iconic events and really double down on the iconic events. So, for instance, we want to see Ombak Festival become as iconic as the World Music Festival in Sarawak, the Rainforest Festival. So, it's really coming up with those iconic events, which may not make up the entirety of the numbers, but actually is the iconic events that people are looking at and saying, if we can't make it for that in Malaysia, we'll still go anyway, because Malaysia is great. Just on that last note, next year for Ombak Festival, who do you want to see? 2 bands.
Ooh, 2 bands next year. I don't think it's impossible to call my favorite artist of all time, Bob Dylan. So Dylan is still around, so please call Dylan. He's played in Singapore before. I don't think he's played in KL ever, if I'm not wrong. So I would love to see Bob Dylan here. Second, let's say, how about the National, KJ? The National.
The National.
Which is an American band. Not everyone knows, but that kind of reflects the kind of music taste that I have, which is not mainstream.
Okay. I just maybe one request. There are these brothers which they argue all the time. Sometimes they break up. Sometimes they get together.
Oh, cost a bomb.
They're on a reunion tour right now, and as long as they are playing nice, I hope we can get Oasis next year for Ombak Festival. Yeah. So there you go. The international clapping, because it's going to be expensive. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you for joining KS at Ombak Festival. It's been great. Sorry about the weather. Let's go to the main stage and enjoy the rest of the evening. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you.